Today we're taking a look at what to do if you get contacted by credit-style debt collectors, also known as CST law. Hi, I'm Scott from MoneyNerd, and it's my mission to arm you with knowledge so you can take back control of your finances. Today we're taking a look at the things you can do if you're contacted by credit-style debt collectors, also known as CST law. We're getting all of this information straight from my article on moneynerd.co.uk, and I'll link that in the description. But credit-style debt collectors, CST law, should you pay? And it's got all of the information that we need here. So just to be clear, I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just making sure that you have access to the information that you need so you can make an informed decision. You've probably received a letter from CST law or credit-style debt collectors, or even had them knocking at your door. When I had debt collectors chasing me back in 2010, it caused me a lot of stress and anxiety, and to be honest, plenty of sleepless nights. But since then, I've worked in the credit card industry for over 10 years, and I'm happy to say I've been able to use that inside information to become debt-free. So today, I'd like to answer 5 frequently asked questions like, are credit style even a legitimate company? How to reduce your repayment amounts? How to stop credit style from contacting you? What happens if you ignore them? And what they're not allowed to do when they're collecting your debts. So question number 1, are credit style even legitimate? If you've received a letter from them in the post, this is probably your first question. If you don't recognise the company name, it might be that they've purchased your debt or they're a debt collector collecting on behalf of another company. I can confirm that Credit Style is a UK registered company, and whilst there are a bunch of scams out there when it comes to debt collectors, I'm afraid this is unlikely to be a scam. However, you should never pay unless you're certain that the debt is yours. You're well within your rights to ask Credit Style to provide proof that the debt is yours, and I have a free letter template that you can use to confirm that the debt is yours and to confirm exactly how much you pay or how much you owe. It's totally free, and I'll link that in the description below. Okay, question number 2. What happens if you ignore credit style? Well, if you ignore debt collectors, your problem could escalate and become very serious. Credit style do have the right to take court action against you, and if you were to ignore court letters, you could end up with a county court judgment. This can have a major impact on your credit score and your chances of borrowing money in the future. If you do get a CCJ and you still don't pay, this could ultimately result in bailiffs coming to your home to take your valuable items or even your car. There's a big difference between having a debt collector like Credit Style chasing you and having bailiffs come to your home. So I can't urge you enough. Now's the time to take action on your debts while there's still options available to you. So please don't ignore Credit Style, and we'll get to what you should do later in this video. Question number 3. What are the rules that Credit Style need to follow? Well, despite being legally appointed to collect your debt or outright owning your debt, there's several things that Credit Style can't do when it comes to collecting your debts. Knowing what they can and can't do will make you feel a lot more comfortable and confident when dealing with them. So here's the things they're legally not allowed to do. They're not allowed to visit your place of work unless you give them specific permission to do so. Before this rule was in place, some debt collectors would show up while you're working and try and make things awkward for you as a way of sort of pressuring you into paying. And on a similar note, they're not allowed to speak to neighbours, friends or family about your debt. Again, this is to stop them trying to embarrass you or shame you into paying. Credit Style can't visit you or call you at unreasonable times of the day. For phone calls, most people would agree that calls before 8 a.m. is too early and calls after 9 p.m. is too late, but your circumstances might be different. For example, if you work night shifts. If you can't take calls during certain times, then tell them. They should be able to keep a record of this and avoid calling you during those times. By the way, for home visits, the regulations say that debt collectors need to clearly explain the purpose and the intended outcome of the proposed visit, and they need to give you adequate notice of the date and the likely time of the visit. You're well within your rights to complain if they keep calling or visiting your homes during times that you've told them to avoid. Next, it's also good to know that they're not allowed to act in a threatening or intimidating way. Also, they should never pressurise you into paying larger instalments than you can afford or hitting payment deadlines that are impossible. The regulations also say that they're not allowed to pressure you into selling your home or to take out more credit than you can afford. The regulations also say that they're not allowed to pressure you into selling your home or to take out more credit to pay your debts. Also, it's good to know that debt collectors can't pretend to be bailiffs or enforcement agents. Unlike bailiffs, debt collectors can't force their way into your house and they can't refuse to leave when you ask them to. And they're certainly not allowed to take any of your belongings or clamp your car. Okay, question number 4. How long can you be chased for debt? Under the Limitation Act of 1980, a creditor has 6 years to chase most unsecured unpaid debts or 12 years for some mortgage debts. This limitation period starts from the time of your last payment or when you last acknowledged the debt. Ultimately, debt collectors can't enforce their debts through the courts after 6 years, but if they've already taken court action against you and you have a CCJ registered against you, unfortunately there's no end date for how long you can be chased. Question number 5. How do you pay less and come to an agreement with Credit Style? Well, there's a number of ways you might be able to reduce the amount you pay. If Credit Style are adding interest and charges to your debt, you could ask them to freeze them to help you get back on track and clear your debts quicker. Debt collectors are more likely to stop or reduce interest and charges if you can prove that you're in financial difficulties. Maybe you could put together a budget to show your income and essential living costs so you can clearly demonstrate that you are in financial difficulties. You can also use that same budget to negotiate reduced payments. Again, you'll need to show why you can't afford higher repayments, so make sure you're clearly showing your income and essential living costs so you can clearly demonstrate what you can afford. Sometimes debt collectors will agree to reduce payments for a short period of time. At the end of this period, they'll want an update on your situation. Other times they'll agree to much longer repayment periods. All of this will depend on your individual circumstance and the nature of the debt. If you have the cash, you could make a full and final settlement offer. This is where you ask them if they'll accept a lump sum instead of the full balance of the debt that you owe. In return of that lump sum payment, some debt collectors will agree to write off the remainder of the debt. These are not the only options that are available in the UK. There's actually a bunch of other debt solutions out there. There's some free debt solutions, there's some paid debt solutions. Each of them have their pros and cons. If you want to hear more about some of those solutions and potentially write off some of your debt, then you can fill out a short form, which I'll link in the description. And I'll show you that now quickly. It's just 5 simple questions like, what is the total amount of your debt? How many people do you owe money to? What's your living situation? Where do you live? Really simple questions like that. It takes less than 30 seconds to do. So go and click the link in the description and fill out that form now.